Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Apollas Odyssey. I'm your host, Apolla Asteria, and I am back from my adventures in Crete. I had a very incredible time, and I've been gone. I think I haven't done a show in 3 weeks, a couple weeks now. I know this summer has been very crazy for me, so it's been really hard to kind of consistently do a show. Although I do try to do one every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, but if I am on a crazy adventure, it just doesn't work out. So, I'm excited in September to start really being more regular with my show again and have more interviews, guests on again. It's just been so much traveling this summer. It's been so crazy. It's just been kind of hard for me to set up interviews just because I don't want to like schedule something with someone and then find out I'm not getting back from somewhere in time or something. So I have a lot of people lined up that I'm really excited to interview. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to, even though these adventures have been fun, I'm looking forward to kind of taking a break from them and really working on my show and my art when I get back from everything a little later this month. So actually, I'm about to leave for another week again. I'm going to be going to Burning Man, which I'll be talking about later as well. I actually, did my term paper in high school about Burning Man, which is very interesting because, as a lot of you may know, my Solutions for Humanity presentation, it gets into circular communities and different aspects of communities and what's important about them. And of course, space habitats, becoming a spacefaring civilization, and a type 1, type 2, type 3 civilization, and so on. But what's interesting is there's these 10 principles about Burning Man that actually kind of interconnect with a lot of what I talk about in my presentation. So I figured at the end of the show, I'll get into that as well. But tonight, really what I want to do is kind of catch up on all the latest in disclosure that I wasn't able to talk about with you all since I got back, or because I was not around. So I have a lot of different things to talk about tonight. I know I kind of did like one kind of theme for tonight's show on my thumbnail, but really have a lot of different things I want to get into. It's good to see everyone here. I'm really excited to have everyone on and to be back on for the first time in a while. Since I actually moved to my new place in the hills, I was kind of having issues with every time doing a show, and it was a little dark in here, but I finally fixed it. I also set up a monitor, so now instead of looking down at my screen when I'm reading, I can look up at you guys, so much better. So kind of getting this all together here, it feels good. Definitely feels good. And it's good to see you all. So, I just had a really wild adventure in Crete, and I'm going to be talking about that later. I think I'll say that more towards the end of the show, catch up with all this latest in disclosure first, though, and then I'll get into that. So before I get started here, and while I'm kind of waiting for more people to come on, let me share with you all my art. So my sorry, 1 second here. My art, Shaman spears, are uniquely handcrafted energy channeling devices, which I invented myself. I'm sure you may have heard this spiel a million times, but I just have to say it again. I'm sorry if you've heard it a million times, but so all of my spears are made for the purpose of channeling energy. They're all filled with copper coils, crystals, magnets, and sand I collect from sacred places around the world down the insides. And I have a few from my last two collections left. My collections are very much dwindling, and I've been preparing a lot for my upcoming collection. I kind of wanted to wait till I was done with all my travels to really break everything out with that. But I've been doing a lot in preparation for it, and the next collection here is going to involve a lot of organite that I've been working on, and a really incredible concept. So I'm excited for that. But if you want to support me and everything I'm doing, because this is kind of the only way I fund myself and keep myself going right now, as I cannot work in Hollywood because I don't have 10 shots or whatever, however many it is I need now. This is what I do. So if you would like to support me in my journey and everything I do, then please check out my art here at shamanspears.com. And oh, don't know what just happened here. Oh, I think I just clicked on something. Okay, let me stop sharing this. Sorry, just working with the new setup here. Okay, here we go. All right, so yeah, definitely check out my art. And again, I also have these incredible organite creations. If you're not into the spears, I make organite, which is great for blocking EMF frequencies. I make these really cool like crystal daggers, which they're not actually sharp, they're just kind of for looks, I guess, but they also have a great purpose. So definitely check those out. They're kind of Sailor Moon-esque, I guess you would say. This one I'm holding right now, I believe, has some moonstone pieces in it, so that's pretty sweet. All right. So, you know what? First, I think we're going to get into, before I get into my adventures and my future adventures, I think I want to catch up with you all on the Calvin UFO photo. Here, let me pull this up here. So, sorry, I need to adjust this screen here. Okay, here we go. So this is, I'm sure, you know, a lot of you have already kind of heard this being talked about over the past week here. But this is something that is kind of new for me because I've been on so many adventures. I just haven't been able to get around to it myself yet. So I figure I might as well catch up with you all on this. And this is, of course, the Calvin UFO photo, which was released for the first time in over 32 years. And, you know, this one has a really interesting story. A lot of people are really freaking out about this because apparently it is just something that was very credible. And so a lot of people are saying there's a couple different variations. Apparently, Nick Pope had one, which he switched up at one point. Apparently there's one that's like this must be the original one here, and then there's another one that doesn't really have a seam on it. So there's been kind of like some weird speculations with that, but apparently this is the most credible UFO photo and clearest one like that's really come out. Besides, you know, obviously we kind of keep seeing the same one over and over in mainstream media, so it's interesting to see this one. Before I get into the article here, you know, I had to say a lot of people are saying that this kind of looks like the Aurora, which is a spy plane. And, you know, to me, it can kind of look like one from the side, but I don't know. I don't know about that. So let me just get into this here. So I am reading The Mirror right now. I know there's a lot of articles that have come out about this, but I'm just going to read this one right now. This is with The Mirror. World's clearest UFO photo of a 100-foot diamond-shaped spacecraft released after 30 years. The photo taken in 1990 by two hikers in Scotland shows a huge diamond-shaped object in the sky and has been dubbed the world's best UFO photo. A fascinating UFO photo taken by two hikers in Scotland uh, 30 years ago and considered lost has been uncovered. The so-called Calvin photograph appears to show a massive diamond-shaped object in the sky and what looks like a Harrier jet in the distance. Described by some of the world's as the world's best UFO image, it was found after years of research by academic and journalist Dr. David Clark. The photo, along with five more, were snapped on August 4th, 1990, by two hikers on a hillside near Calvin, about 35 miles northwest of Perth in Scotland. They were handed to Scotland's Daily Record newspaper, who then gave them to the Ministry of Defence. For reasons unknown, the story was never published and nothing more was heard from the MOD. This led to the modern myth of the Calvin photograph, with the images never being released by the public until now. Oh, my screen just glitched out here. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so the object is then said to... Okay, sorry, guys. I don't know what's... Okay, maybe the screen thing here isn't working out. 1 second here. Okay. Sorry, 1 second, you guys. Technical difficulties. The fuck? Okay, sorry, guys. 1 second here. Just take this out then. Okay. Sorry guys, I've just been working on getting this new screen up here and it just is not working out. So I guess I'll just read from my computer down here. Sorry about that. All right. Let me get back to this. Okay. So where are we at here? So at the time, the hikers, whose identities are unknown, and said they watched the metallic object about 100 feet long, hovering with a low hum for about 10 minutes, and saw the fighter jets pass in the distance. The object is said to have quickly shot up in the sky before vanishing. Dr. Clark, who has worked as a curator for the MOD UFO Files Project at the National Archives and is an associate professor from Sheffield Hallam University, managed to find the photo after contacting former UAF press officer Craig Lindsay, the Sun reports. Mr. Lindsay had kept a copy of the original photograph as he was the one liaising between the press and the MOD when the original story was looked at in 1990. He still has the original envelope from the Daily Record, and inside was one of the Calvin photographs. Mr. Lindsay agreed to hand it over to Dr. Clark and Vivian Adams from campaign group UAP Media UK, and it has now been filed in the archives at Sheffield Hallam University. Mr. Adams told The Sun online, "It's been a privilege to work on this case with such a dedicated team of researchers. After 32 years and an intensive investigation, it feels good to be able to show this elusive photograph to the world." And again, here it is. He urged anyone with any information on the identity of the hikers or the case to come forward. Nick Pope, who investigated the UFOs for the MOD in the 1990s, wrote about the photo in his 1996 book, Open Skies, Closed Minds, and said it was once on the walls of the MOD's UFO office. He claimed the UK asked the US if the photo was of an experimental aircraft. The image was then removed from the wall and not seen again. For reasons not known, I mean, obviously, maybe they are a little more known. The MOD are keeping the case about the sighting classified until, or they were keeping the case classified until 2072. Although mystery surrounds the image, some believe it was like the MOD had apparently suspected, and experimental U.S. aircraft, possibly the Aurora. So, I think I can see why people would say that. Just, it could be from a certain perspective. It could look a bit like the Aurora, but honestly, to me, this does not look that way. Um, it could be like the angle of it, but I really don't think so. Because the Aurora would have like some more kind of wings coming out of the side more. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. All right. Just gonna go back and read the comments here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm pulling up this comment by Ronnie Borshot, Barshert, the Pentagon admitting that Liu A and aliens and UFOs are demons. That is the real truth. Thoughts? I didn't hear that they admitted they were demons, but I am going to get into that, what you were talking about next when it comes to the Congress. So let me get into that here. All right, so let me share that. Sucks my screen wasn't working. I really wanted to get this monitor working tonight, but whatever. We'll figure it out later. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so this is really incredible because so the Congress just came out and basically admitted that UFOs are not man-made, and they say that threats are increasing exponentially. So, Project Bluebeam, probably, but let's get into it. Okay, so the new budget for America's intelligence services directs the Pentagon to focus its UFO investigation on those objects that it can't identify. After years of revelations about strange lights in the sky, the first-hand reports from Navy pilots about UFOs and governmental investigations, Congress seems to have admitted something startling in print. It doesn't believe all UFOs are man-made. Buried deep in a report that's an addendum to the Intelligence Authorization Act for the fiscal year of 2023, a budget that governs America's clandestine services, Congress made two startling claims. The first is that cross domain transmedium threats to the United States national security are expanding exponentially. The second is that it wants to distinguish between UFOs that are human in origin and those that are not temporary, non attributed objects, or those that are positively identified as man made after analysis. Will be passed to appropriate offices and should not be considered under the definition as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomena, the document states. Okay, well, let me just continue here. The admission is stunning chiefly because as more information about the US government's study of UFOs has become public, many politicians have stopped just short of claiming the unidentified objects were extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional in origin. The standard line is typically that if UFOs exist, then they're likely advanced, although human-made vehicles. Obama refused to confirm the existence of aliens, but did say that people have seen a lot of strange stuff in the sky lately when asked directly on The Late Show with James Corden, for example. But now Congress seems to want to specifically distinguish between objects that are man-made and those that are not. A cross-domain transmedium threat is one that, by the Pentagon's definition, can move from water to air to space in ways we don't understand. In July, the Pentagon announced it was opening the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office to investigate these threats. The bill would reclassify unidentified aerial phenomena, the government's term for UFOs, as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomena. Whoa, okay, I missed out on that one. I didn't hear about that because I guess I was traveling at the time. Are they really going to change it again? Like, why don't they just leave it at UFO? Like, why keep changing the name? Yeah, that's weird. I'm sorry. I just this is just so ridiculous. I don't know. It's like why I don't understand. Like they're just confusing people, you know? There's no reason to keep changing the name, but it is interesting that they have added aerospace and undersea phenomena because obviously there's a lot of undersea phenomena. Okay, so I guess this makes sense because instead of just a flying object, it's also saying like a swimming object. So, okay, I can understand where they're going with this, but this is crazy they changed it again. I honestly did not hear about this till now. So, all right, I'm going to continue on here. And so they renamed the Pentagon's office in line with the new designation last year. A leaked video that was confirmed by the Pentagon as being authentic appeared to show a UFO seamlessly flying beneath the waves. Senator Marco Rubio, the vice chair of the Senate Select Committee overseeing intelligence that issued the report, has publicly said he wants the UFOs to be aliens and not foreign weapons. Of course. I mean, okay, that's kind of weird. Like he just okay, sorry. Let me just move on here. Okay, I'm not gonna touch that. All right. A large question, of course, is why the Congress is seemingly admitting this now in public. After all, lawmakers are privy to classified information that the general public is not. It strains credulity to believe that lawmakers would include such extraordinary language in public legislation without compelling evidence. Merrick von Ronnenkamp, an Obama era DoD official, said in an op ed in The Hill about the budget. According to the op ed, the comments were first noticed by UFO researcher Douglas Johnson. This implies that the members of the Senate Intelligence Committee believe, on a unanimous and bipartisan basis, that some UFOs have non human origins. Von Rennenkamp continued, after all, why would Congress establish a task force or in a powerful new office with investigating non man made UFOs if such objects did not exist? Make no mistake, one branch of the American government implying that UFOs have non human origins is an explosive development. A bipartisan group of U.S. legislatures have long put pressure on the Pentagon to figure out what the strange lights are the Americans are seeing in the sky. In the sky. In 2021, the DoD issued a report detailing more than 100 sightings that it investigated. It said some of what is studied could not be explained with current scientific models and asked for more time and money to study the phenomenon. Congress has given it to them, and now it's asking the Pentagon to focus on only those objects that haven't been designed by human hands. Okay. So this is really fascinating and, for multiple reasons. One, is this as most people in this community have been saying lately, are they preparing for Project Bluebeam with all this? Is this what's going on here? Or, there is that, but then also I feel that it's, to me, I 100% feel that there are, man-made UFOs or undersea phenomena that, are from foreign governments, our government, spycraft, things like that. But then there's also extraterrestrial stuff or interterrestrial things going on. So, this is really interesting, and I'm actually really glad that they're doing something to come out and, actually make a difference between these things. And now they're actually coming out and claiming that, yes, some of these are not man-made. So, that is incredible. I mean, this is something that I think a lot of people in the UFO community, disclosure community, have been waiting for a long time. At least we have the government actually coming out and saying this now. So this is really interesting. And of course, a lot of us, I think, have known this for a very long time. But It's really cool to see that Congress is actually coming out and admitting this finally. I mean, this is major news, major news. Does it have to do with Project Bluebeam? Maybe. And you know, I mean, I'm not saying that, these statements aren't true. I'm saying that, maybe they're trying to set the stage for their version of a fake UFO invasion. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I try to talk about it as much as possible, and I really feel that everyone, that speaks in the UFO kind of disclosure community, or anyone in general that knows about it, should talk about it as much as possible, because I think if a lot of people know about it, then it won't happen. And if you don't know what Project Bluebeam is, I'm not going to sit here and explain it to you right now. Just go look it up. I'm sure most of you know, though. So I'm just going to move on here. But that is, the latest that I have found in disclosure that I think is really incredible. It's happened in the last couple weeks. Also, I just want to share something with space news that happened recently. Let me see here. So there's this new space launch I wanted to maybe get into a little bit here. Okay, so I think this is really interesting. This article came out yesterday on Space News, or I'm sorry, 2 days ago? No, yesterday on Space News. So op-ed. Sorry, let me take a drink for a second. Okay, so the Space Launch System is America's space program. NASA and America are on the precipice of a space renaissance with the maiden voyage of the Space Launch System rocket, part of the NASA Artemis program. Many of us remember Neil Armstrong's first steps on the moon and the launch of the International Space Station. The Space Launch System rocket will launch with it the inspiration to return humans to the moon and eventually to Mars. This generation of explorers is certain to make discoveries never before contemplated. I've witnessed the evolution of America's space journey throughout my life with Apollo, Skylab, the International Space Station, Space Transportation System, and then as a vice president of Space Launch System. Human spaceflight is extremely complex, and while we've recently witnessed new adventures, we must never take for granted or downplay the intricacies of the risks of space exploration. This new chapter of the U.S. space program has been a marvel, and I've never been more excited for our nation's future in space than I am right now. Me too. Experience is essential for understanding past mistakes and triumphs and applying those lessons to the future. Innovation is key to advancing technological developments and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Right now, we're witnessing the U.S. space program going through a renaissance. It's utilizing both experience on previous programs and innovation to forge a new path for the next generation of space exploration. In 2012, when the SLS programs started in earnest, NASA's McCloud Assembly Facility in New Orleans required major upgrades to turn it into the modern world-class rocket factory it is today. Simultaneous with these upgrades, the New Orleans region endured 5 hurricanes. These setbacks resulted in today's path, the advent of an uncrewed launch making its first attempt in August 2022, with a crewed launch window in the following years once the data from this critical first mission is captured and studied. Despite these challenges, the SLS has taken a similar development path to the space station and Apollo. Funding has also been a challenge to this program. Unlike privately funded space development operations, NASA is bound by congressional appropriations. Traditionally, Congress has been used as a development bell curve for American space programs. For example, the contract of the International Space Station was considered large during its development, but but has now become an efficiency model over its lifespan as it's moved from a developmental program to an operations and maintenance model. Let's not forget that without the ISS, there would be nowhere for commercial space capsules to carry astronauts and private riders to low Earth orbit. The NASA SLS program is unique in that it has been developed under flat congressional funding. Compared to the Apollo development programs, which had a higher overall budget, SLS development has been more effective at approximately a quarter of the Saturn V rocket development. SLS has also averaged the same cost as the retired Space Shuttle operations annual appropriation while contending with the uncertainty of several short-term continuing resolutions to fund the government over the last decade. The nation hasn't seen a rocket and capability like the SLS and Orion capsule since the space race half a century ago. At a time when the world needs a symbol of hope and something greater than ourselves, I hope a successful SLS launch will remind us all to look at the stars and think of pursuits greater than ourselves. Who knows? Maybe the budget hawks and critics of this program will finally look up and see something bigger too. So that's interesting. I find that really fascinating that, we have a lot of steps moving forward here, a lot of things going on in regards to space right now. Whether it's, these secret programs or the more public programs, it's really interesting to see how this is progressing. All right. Oh, I want to thank, I'm not sure who this, Kenny Crowder. Thank you so much for the donation. Kenny says, good evening, Apolla. Hello, everybody, and hope all well, love your way. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Okay, so that's basically all I had to share in regards to space news tonight. And, I wanted to kind of get a little into my adventures in Crete. I think I may do a whole show more directly related to Crete in general, actually. So, but, before I go on here, I do want to say that, it was really fascinating to go on my adventures there. And I saw the Temple of Knossos, which is the actual place where the myth of Ariadne in the labyrinth and the Minotaur from Greek mythology apparently took place. I didn't realize it was a real place, so it was really interesting to see that in person. And, I had a lot of really interesting synchronicities on that journey. I hiked the Gorge, which is Europe's version of the Grand Canyon. And that was a really incredible journey. What was interesting about it was actually white limestone. So that was the Samaria Gorge. And so basically imagine like the Grand Canyon, but with white limestone and like all these little like bridges and stuff going through it and ancient ruins. It was really crazy. Like no one told me there'd be ancient ruins in there. So I actually got to experience some ancient Greek ruins. I learned a lot about the Minoan civilization. And one thing that I found extremely interesting in particular was the Phaistos disc, which was at the museum in Heraklion. So I wanted to just pull up a little article about that right now. A lot of people say that the Minoans who were on Crete were actually, at one point maybe a part of Atlantis or directly descended from Atlantis. And this disc right here that I'm showing on the screen here, the Phaistos disc, has some glyphs on it that no one's really been able to decipher. Although they may have somewhat deciphered it, they say, they won't talk about. So I've been looking everywhere, and they say like supposedly they were able to somewhat decipher it, but no one will say what exactly it reads. So I have not been able to find that anywhere. I think it's really interesting that these glyphs have not really been found anywhere else. And what's also interesting is I came across an article on Ancient Origins, which is a really incredible site recently. And they actually, it's funny, it just happened to come up on my Facebook newsfeed one day, like after I got back. And the area I was hiking in the gorge in Crete. So Crete is like an island that is south of Greece, not the mainland. It's basically pretty much the furthest south part of Europe besides one smaller island that's a little further south. But it wasn't really technically a part of Greece for a long time, and it's been conquered by many different civilizations throughout time. And I felt a lot of very archaic, like very ancient, very interesting energy there when I was there. I mean, I went to some sacred sites, like such as the sacred cave of Artemis, different places like that that were so mind blowing. I mean, I could not even begin to explain to you how mind blowing it was. But it's really interesting. I read this article after I got back saying that apparently scientists recently found some ancient spears, ancient spearheads in this area in the Samaria Gorge that are dated to be 150,000 years old, which is really incredible because, modern science claims that humans didn't really make it out of Africa at that point in time, and that they weren't technically capable of building boats. So, it's really interesting that, these have been found and dated to this time because they said if anything, like the previous knowledge on this by like mainstream science was that humans, like early modern, early hominids or more modern humans, were only able to make like kind of like rafts possibly around that time, but nothing better than that. But if they were able to make it onto Crete from Libya, then that actually kind of turns all that we previously thought about human history on its head. I mean, this is really fascinating. And so that just came out. And, it's really interesting to be in a place that has that much history. It's really incredible. And I want to read what I found on the Phaistos disc here. And I want to know what your thoughts are. So comment, what do you think it is? But let me just read this here. So this is the Greek Reporter. The mystery of the Phaistos disc has been solved by 99%, says Gareth Owens, a linguist, archaeologist, and coordinator of the program Erasmus of Crete Technological Institute. Owens has devoted 30 years to trying to solve the puzzle. The Minoan goddess of love, Astarte, who is linked to the Eastern goddess Ashtart, is the key figure that unlocks the mystery of the Phaistos disc, Owen argues. The Phaistos disc is a disc of fired clay from the Minoan palace of Phaistos on the island of Crete, possibly dating to the Middle or Late Minoan Bronze Age, 2nd millennium BC. The disc is about 15 centimeters in diameter and covered on both sides by a spiral of stamped symbols. The language imprinted on the face of the mysterious disc has never been fully decoded, and its symbols are part of a not known alphabet, either ancient or modern. Some symbols, however, do bear resemblance to those found in Linear A and Linear B, which are the ancient languages of the Minoans. Linear A has not yet been decoded. Others are similar to hieroglyphs found in ancient Anatolian sites. Although the vast majority of scholars believe that the Phaistos disc is authentic, a few archaeologists are unconvinced of its authenticity. Its purpose and meaning, and even its original geographical place of manufacture, remain disputed, making it one of the most famous mysteries of archaeology. This unique object is now on display at the Archaeological Museum of Heraklion. Is the goddess of love the key to decoding the disc? He, along with his team, are using evidence and strategies with linguistics and history to decode the mysterious disc. Owen says, "We are reading the Phaistos disc with the vocal values of Linear B and with the help of comparative linguistics, i.e. comparing with other relative languages from the Indo-European language family. Reading something, however, does not mean understanding. According to his data, the disc is a religious text to a pregnant goddess that takes place in the face of Astarte, the goddess of love. There is no doubt that we are talking about a religious text," Owens reveals. This is clear from a comparison made with other religious words from other inscriptions from the holy mountains of Crete. we have words that are exactly the same. The scholar adds that he suspects that the Phasos disc is a hymn before Astarte, the goddess of love. Words such as those mentioned on the disc have been found on Minoan offerings. As with today's offerings, people pray when they are troubled because of health problems or personal reasons, he says. Man doesn't change, after all. The archaeologist says he believes that one side of the Phasos disc is actually dedicated to a pregnant mother goddess, while the other is dedicated to the Minoan goddess Astarte. On the importance of the figure, Owens noted that the Minoan Astarte was the goddess of love, war, and the mountains, that her origin lies in the east. The goddess's roots are from the ancient Mesopotamia, located in today's Turkey. Astarte went to Cyprus and became Venus, he explains. So basically, Astarte is, of course, like Aphrodite, Venus. So this is really fascinating. And I really want to kind of share more about, my adventures there. I think I'm going to do another episode on all of that, but I just wanted to share this with you all, and I'm wondering what you think. What do you think it's from? Do you think it may be from Atlantis? Because a lot of people say that it's very likely that parts of Greece were at one time parts of Atlantis. A lot of people don't think that. So I'm curious to know what you think. But I just want to show you all that because I found it extremely interesting. Another thing that is very interesting is while I was in the museum there, kind of studying everything that's been found at the ancient sites, some of the things that I found extremely interesting, such as some vases and kind of murals of Amazon warrior women, where I was not allowed to take pictures of or share. It was like really like the most interesting things. They would not allow me to take pictures of them to share. So I thought that was really interesting, mostly because they say that the Amazon warriors, like modern, most modern historians, or probably half, I guess, claim that the Amazon warriors were not real and that they're just mythology, while a lot claim that they were real. And I find that interesting that, I found so much art and, things dedicated to them at that museum, and I was not allowed to take pictures of them. So I found that extremely interesting. What's also interesting is, Troy, obviously from the Iliad and the Odyssey, that story. Troy was thought to be a myth, the ancient city of Troy, and then it was found. So I find it interesting, and I've always found Greek mythology really fascinating. So going to this place, Crete, was a very interesting adventure for me. So yeah, I might get into all that on a later show, but I just wanted to go ahead and share that all with you now. And if you want to see some more of my images from the trip, be sure to follow me on social media. I have a lot posted there. Okay, so I wanted to share one more thing before I go tonight, and that is that I will be not doing a show next week. Also, I'll have to do another break for next week because I'm going to be going to Burning Man, and I'm really excited about that because I actually have not been before. A lot of people think that I've been because of my art. I've done a lot of like events that are related to Burning Man events. I've been actually selling my art and my shaman spears at Burning Man kind of related events for years now. So, a lot of the Alex Gray events, when Alex Gray comes to town, a lot of times I'll sell my art at his events. So, I'm finally going to be going and I'm really excited about it. One, because basically my senior year of high school, I did my term paper on Burning Man, but on the 10 principles of Burning Man and the idea of it being a circular community. It's so funny because actually now my Solutions for Humanity presentation that I have been giving, for probably like 5 years now, is basically related to all of this. And I completely did not even think about this until recently. I totally forgot that I had written my term paper about this years ago. But, in my Solutions for Humanity presentation, I talk about circular communities, and a lot of the principles, the 10 principles of Burning Man, I actually talk about as well. So I just wanted to share with you all the 10 principles and what you think about it. I think it's really fascinating. And, I know this doesn't have to do with aliens, but I think anything that's important for humanity, I like to share on my show because my presentation is solutions for humanity. And of course, when I give my presentation, normally I relate it to not just circular communities or the importance of community, but also to becoming a space-faring civilization, the importance of full disclosure, becoming a type 1, type 2, type 3 civilization, and space habitats. So to me, this all kind of interrelates. And, it's funny, a lot of people have said that aliens end up going to Burning Man, apparently. I know it sounds crazy, but, obviously there's a lot of tripped out people there. But a lot of people say that it would be easy for them to be there because they wouldn't have to, really hide as much. Um, so I think that's really interesting. So I'm going to get into the 10 principles now and just see what you all think on it. And then I want to share the basic theme for this year. So, the 10 principles of Burning Man. Burning Man co founder Larry Harvey wrote the 10 principles in 2004 as guidelines for the newly formed regional network. They are crafted not as a dictate of how people should be and act, but as a reflection of the community's ethos and culture as it has organically developed since the event's inception. So, I think these principles are really incredible. So, just getting into these here. One would be radical inclusion. Anyone who may be a part of Burning Man, we welcome and respect the stranger. No prerequisites exist for the participation in our community. Gifting. Burning Man is devoted to the acts of gift giving. The value of gift is unconditional. Gifting does not contemplate a return or an exchange for something of equal value. That one's really important to me, and that's something I talk about in my presentation. And my presentation, Solutions for Humanity, I really get into this. And if you want to know more about that, definitely check out the book Sacred Economics. That's something I find really fascinating, the idea of a more gift-giving, gift exchange society. So definitely check that out if you're interested in that. Another aspect is decommodification. In order to preserve the spirit of gifting, our community seeks to create social environments that are unmediated by commercial sponsorships, transactions, or advertising. We stand ready to protect our culture from such exploitation. We resist the substitution of consumption for participatory experience. Participatory, sorry. Radical self-reliance. Burning Man encourages the individuals to discover, exercise, and rely on their inner resources. Radical self-expression. Radical self-expression arises from the unique gifts of the individual. No one other than the individual or a collaborating group can determine its content. It is offered as a gift to others in the spirit. The giver should respect the rights of the liberties of the recipient. Communal effort. Our community values creative cooperation and collaboration. We strive to produce, promote, and protect social networks, public spaces, works of art, and methods of communication that support such interaction. Civic responsibility. We value civic society. Community members who organize events should assume responsibility for public welfare and endeavor to communicate civic responsibilities and participants. They must also assume responsibility for conducting events in accordance with local, state, and federal laws. Leaving no trace. This one is important to me. I think it's really cool. Our community respects the environment. We're committed to leaving no physical trace of our activities wherever we gather. We clean up after ourselves and endeavor, whenever possible, to leave such places in a better state than we found them. So participation. Our community is committed to radically participatory ethic. We believe that transformative change, whether it's individual or in society, can occur only through the medium of deeply personal participation. We achieve being through doing. Everyone is invited to work. Everyone is invited to play. We make the world real through actions that open the heart. And again, so I'm sharing this all with you because I feel that these principles are really incredible. And if we, I think there are ways we could implement this more in our own society that would be really cool. So this is something I, definitely kind of get into with my presentation. It's so funny to me. I totally just made the connection recently that, I actually made my term paper about all this and the idea of circular communities when I was a senior in high school, and I completely forgot about it. And now I'm doing presentations on kind of the same thing. Oh, and I forgot to read the last one here. So, immediacy. Immediate experience is, in many ways, the most important touchstone of value in our culture. We seek to become barriers that stand between us and a recognition of our inner selves. The reality of those around us, participation in society, and contact with a natural world exceeding human powers. No idea can substitute for this experience. So, yeah, I'm really excited for this adventure. And, I think everything happens for a reason. And I find it really fascinating that this year I happen to be going to the year that is themed Waking Dreams, which is going to be basically there's this whole spiel in here. I was going to read it, but I don't really feel like it now. But you should definitely go check it out. Basically, it gets into the whole idea of lucid dreaming and what it means being in a waking dream and uh, being co-creative. So I think that's really fascinating and really incredible that this is the year I'm going. Really excited about it. And sorry, again, I won't be able to do a show next week. I had a lot of adventures the end of this year and, this spring and this summer. So I'm really excited to, back in September, kind of get more into my work with my show and doing more interviews. So really excited about the future with all that. Oh, and thanks, Kenny Crowder, again for the new donation here. Kenny here asks, what date is this live? Might try to make it maybe by a spear. So I'm actually, you can go on my site if you want to check out my spears. I'll go ahead and share this with everyone now. Actually, if you are interested in buying a spear now, right now would be a good time. And all you have to do is go to shamanspears.com, my website. It would be best to do that in the next couple days here because after that, I'll be gone for a week. But if you buy a spear now or in the next couple days here, I will get that shipped to you before I go next day shipping on all orders. So definitely check those out. Again, they are a mix between wands and spears. They're made for the purpose of channeling energy. And the bamboo is all filled with copper coils, crystals, magnets, and sand collected from sacred places around the world down the insides. They're also painted with crop circles that have been found around the world. And I don't have many left in my last two collections. So definitely order one now if you want to get one now before I go. Because I'll be unreachable for a week after a few days here. So definitely check those out now if you want one now. All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for joining my show tonight. Oh, and one more thing before I go here. I wanted to share with you all some art that I made for Burning Man that I'm really excited about. And I'm thinking I might start making these for my site. So I kind of have this thing with the song Space Cowgirl. Or no, I'm sorry, not the song Space Cowgirl. What was it? The Joker by the Steve Miller Band. So I kind of had this like Space Cowgirl thing, and I started pimping out these cowgirl hats that I have, and I added like a bunch more things to them. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I don't know. I might just start making Space Cowgirl hats now. I'm not sure, but this I was actually wearing in Mount Shasta at an event recently. It was this gray hat that I bought up there, and I just kind of spray painted it gold and added all this cool stuff to it. Show you that a little closer here. Really excited about that. And this one's kind of more crazy, but gets crazy at Burning Man. So if you happen to be going out there this coming week at the event, then watch for me. I'll be riding a dragon. I'm making a dragon bike. I'm super excited about it. I basically made these dragon skulls like years ago, and I've had them for a while. So I kind of like redid them. I put some UV like blacklight paint on them, and I'm adding them to like the handlebars of my bike, my electric bike I got, and I'm gonna be adding wings to it and some other things. So basically, I'm gonna be riding around on a dragon there. So definitely watch for that if you come out. I'm really excited about it, and yeah, some people are saying I might like to get a hat. I do not have those on my site yet. I made these for myself for Burning Man, but I think I'm having a lot of fun with it. It might be something I might start doing. Like, why not? So, thanks so much, you guys, for tuning in tonight. I am not going to be doing a show next week because I'll be in Burning Man. So, sorry about that. But the following week, I should be ready in time for another show, hopefully. So, yeah. Please just try to tune in every Wednesday at 5 p.m. if possible. Obviously, not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, maybe. And really excited to start doing some interviews coming up here in the coming month. After I get back, I'm going to start setting up interviews again. And I have a lot of people, really amazing people, actually lined up for interviews that have been begging to come on my show. I just, haven't wanted to schedule anything when I have so much going on. So I'm really excited to get those interviews in next month. So definitely stay tuned, hit the notification bell if you haven't already so you know when my future shows are coming up. And thanks everyone for joining tonight. Until next time on Apollo's Odyssey. Over and out.